Welcome to Brave Enough for Love, the podcast for anyone who knows happily ever after doesn't always happen on the first try. Meet your hosts, Chris and Kabrina, two people who've been married, divorced, figured some things out the hard way, and still decided love was worth another shot. They found it with each other. And now they're talking about everything that comes with round two, navigating careers, dealing with exes, kids and blended families, big adventures, sex, and everything in between. The messy parts, the beautiful parts, and the hilarious "no one warned us about this" parts. If you're into honest conversations, real laughs, and a reminder that starting over can actually be better than starting from scratch, you're in the right place. This is Brave Enough for Love. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Brave Enough for Love. Today we're going to be talking about this idea of playfulness in a relationship and what does that mean for actual relationship growth. And we're going to be looking at some research around this idea of playfulness and how you can start pulling it into your relationships, whether that's in the dating world, you're actually dating somebody, or you're married for the second time and you're trying to figure this whole thing out.
Yeah, so, I've always been a really playful guy. I have 3 daughters. I love to play. I love to run around, be an idiot, climb trees, dress up, you know, just be silly in public. And that was not something that I felt was rewarded or loved in my past relationships. And one of the things when Kabrina and I first met, we've talked about this story. Um, we were laughing and laughing, and she grabbed my hand, and we ran across the street like little kids, and balance beamed on the sidewalk, and walked into a store and put little silly antique hats on our heads. There was this incredible burst of playfulness with you, and for the first time in my adult life, I felt like that was not only okay, but it was preferred. And it was such an immediate attraction point.
Yeah, well, and it's so funny because I think back to that moment and I wasn't even realizing the things that I was doing with you because it was just so comfortable. It was almost like a vibe check of like my brain and my body knew it was fine, even though I wasn't consciously thinking through it. Because I'm a very measured person. Like I am constantly, from past trauma and the work that I do with people, looking at people and, diagnosing them as I have conversations with them. So for us to be able to have that freeness with each other was a really unique thing. And the only time during that whole entire experience that I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? Is when I grabbed your hand and we ran across the street because I was like, oh, maybe he didn't want touched. Maybe this is too soon. Because, we'd talked a lot, but we hadn't physical touch had not happened.
Yeah, well, thank God we both are like super into physical touch and snuggling and hugging and holding hands. Um, so were you always playful like that?
I think I was really playful with my kids. I was not playful with my ex. Um, I had tried to be playful, but I remember vividly when we were in college and we had gone somewhere, probably Chick-fil-A because that was the closest thing, and driven back and it was snowing. And I was trying to have a serious conversation with him about some stuff that was going on and what we were going to do about it. And, we might have been engaged. No, we may have been engaged at this point. Or seriously dating towards that spot and having the serious conversation. And he wouldn't stop just quoting movies. Like he was not there through this conversation. Like it wasn't like the people that just do it every once in a while or just interject something because it's part of what's going on. It was like an inappropriate moment for it. And it was every line. And I was like, I'm not sure what we're doing here. And I remember getting out of the car and slamming the door shut and going, if you're not going to talk to me like a normal human being, I'm not going to talk to you. We went our separate ways and I should have just broken it off then, but
Was it avoidant or was it an attempted play? What was that?
No, I think it was using play to be avoidant though. but because it was more comfortable to be like talking through a character. And I didn't really like think through how much that was very much the beginning of me realizing that that was very much an autistic idea of what he was having, which is fine, but it's like you have to learn how to have those things within a relationship. And that was that should have been a huge red flag for me of this was not playful. This was more manipulative. And I think that a lot of times when I was trying to be this, I always felt like I had to play bad cop. So when stuff happened with his parents, when stuff happened with our kids, I was the one who was like, okay, well, this is what we have to do, or these are the plans that we have. And it was always kind of like, I always felt like I was parenting him in the process of, if we're supposed to leave and he's having a good time and be like, okay, guys, we have to go. And everybody go, oh, I don't want to go. Or if he was the kid who didn't want to be there anymore and was throwing the tantrum, then it was like, okay, I'm sorry that we have to go, guys, but we need to go take care of this one. And so it was a constant feeling like I couldn't figure it out. And I lost a lot of the playfulness of myself. Because like when I started college, I was very playful. I was very fun. I would dress up and stuff like that and loved to have costumes around and make shirts that said funny things and a lot of like what we do now. But I lost that for the decade that I was married.
It's kind of interesting because you always say like look at the pictures of me, compare 5 years ago to today, and you've really come out of your shell and become your bright self, and play is a huge part of your daily life.
Yeah. Well, and I think I talk about it a lot in a lot of the things that I do just because I see the value in it. And so, having gone down the research rabbit hole with that, as well as, the brain science side, I see how valuable it is. And so, there's actually some research that just came out not that long ago. It's only been in the last couple of months that negative thinking actually shrinks the size of your brain.
Really?
And so, the more negative you are over a long period of time, the smaller your brain gets. And so, things like play and imagination and innovation and having these kinds of places to do things because so if we think about this from the research side, we're gonna get nerdy for a second. Um, you know how they call it a sandbox when you're doing like innovative things at work. So that sandbox, your brain doesn't realize that you're doing something scary if you call it a test or an experiment or I'm just doing this for fun. So it's a great way to get my clients to go try something new that they're afraid of, that they're holding themselves back from, is by saying, oh, this is just for fun. Because we're willing to do stuff like jump out of motherfucking planes because it's fun. But if we were told that we were jumping out of a plane because if we didn't, we would die, people would be a lot more hesitant to do it.
Because it feels serious.
Yeah. And so when we're like, we're just going to go jump out of a plane today, it's so fun. Like, I don't understand people that do that.
I always sort of wanted to. But
Yeah. I mean, I know people that have done it, and I'm always like, there's not one bit of me that wants that
what if you
excitement.
could jump out of a plane and land in a lake?
Ugh.
Lakes are nice.
No, I have a thing about lakes. I think they're dirty.
So as you kind of are finding yourself, you find play again. What are the things that gave you? What does play help you do in your life? We do a lot of really crazy things, right? We
Mm-hmm.
do a lot of things that people on the outside look at us like we're mad people and take pictures and and that's kind of become an expectation for us. But when you're doing it alone, like there's some risk to play.
Oh, 100%. I I have lots of shower thoughts of like what I'd like to do. And so about 6 months after I was divorced, I was finally feeling a little more settled into my new place and all of that and the kids. And, you know, this was around Christmassy time. And, I'm doing my hair in the shower before church and, all this stuff. And I'm like, I'm going to go sit at church on Christmas Eve all by myself. And then it was like a moment of sadness and then a moment of like, I have a poster. What I wonder what would happen if I made a poster and asked people to come and sit with me, because sitting at church by yourself for months, nobody had come and sat with me. No, like I was like expecting, I guess, people to be a little bit more observant. They're fucking not. And so I realized very quickly, I ended up getting out of my car, walking into church, seeing the head pastor and being like, I have this idea. And he kind of backs away a little bit and he's like, okay. And I'm like, can I take this poster that I made? And I showed him the poster and stand in the lobby. And he was like, oh, yeah, sure. And I was expecting, like, I had prepared myself for him to say no so that I wasn't disappointed when he said no. And I was like, oh, okay. And so then I stood there in the spot in the big
The
area.
vestibule
Yes, the whatever they call it.
lobby.
Yes. And stood there and I was like, "Oh my god, this is I realizing in real time that this is like one of those social media experiments where they stand there and see how many people will come up and like sit at the chair." And I'm watching people walk by, look, not do anything. And and it was really funny because the people that looked at me and like wanted to come up to me were small children and old people. Anybody in my age group was like, not, don't make eye contact.
Did anybody come sit with you?
Yeah, I ended up sitting with these two older ladies who worked in the nursery, and they were very sweet. And we still, every once in a while, when we see each other, we'll wave and say hi and see how each other's doing. Um, but that's how I know all of the volunteers, because it was the volunteers who are older, who have like grandkids, who were coming up to me and going, "Oh my God, this is such a good idea. This is so cute." But it was very scary. And you know how those moments when you're like, "This is such a good idea," and then you start doing it and you're like, you feel that sweating,
You're like
like
jumping out of a plane.
clammy. And so I had plenty of moments like that. Like I went to the AJR concert by myself. That was a playfulness thing of a last minute, I'm going to buy the more expensive ticket so that I can be on the floor, and in hopes of like making friends. And met a couple people. They were all much younger than me.
Why do the middle adult age ranges have such difficulty with this stuff? Because we talk about this a lot, that there's this loneliness epidemic that's sweeping across Gen Z up to Xers.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like even boomers have this issue.
I think more and more they are, because there are a lot of gray divorces happening. There's a lot of boomers that are, either widowed or for the first time in their life alone. And people don't know how to make friends. And I think play is such a cornerstone of that. Play literally is the thing that turned our date into a connection, was play. And I think we ought to also just define what play is for people, because not everybody's crazy like us.
Yeah, well, and I think that when people say play, they think like what we're wearing today, which is a very normal wardrobe choice for us, and we don't even think about it, versus, most people that are like, "Oh, that's really cool." And like you said about when we go places, people are expecting us to be dressed up. Like we get asked when we go places why we aren't all matching.
I get it all the time at work. Like, what's wrong? Why are you wearing a black t-shirt today? I'm like, well, it's Tuesday. I just felt like wearing a black t-shirt today. Where's the banana shirt? Where's the So yeah, people do start to expect it, but they don't emulate it. They don't feel comfortable doing it.
No. Well, okay. Yes and no. I think when people see that there is a benefit to them in some way, more than just good old play, then they will emulate it. Because I've definitely had people that I've known that were fairly drab when we first met. We became friends. And then all of a sudden they're like doing the same things that I'm doing. And I'm like, cool. And it's fine to an extent. But at some point you're like, you start to feel like Greece when Rome just decided to emulate everything. And I know it's the best way to like show that that's something.
Flattery.
Yeah, flattery, emulation is the best form of flattery. Um, I had a history teacher who told us that when I was in like eighth, ninth grade, and that has stuck with me for forever. The Roman Greece, like fucking Rome.
Yeah, they totally did.
Okay, so to define play, they actually did a study. It was Renee Proyer and Kay Brower at Martin Luther University in Germany, and they took 211 couples together for an average of 5 years, and they measured 4 facets of adult playfulness and relationship satisfaction. And their model broke playfulness down into 4 types. The first one was others directed, which is playful teasing and engaging with your partner. Lighthearted, which is treating life as a game. Intellectual, which is playing with ideas. And whimsical, enjoying the unusual and the quirky. And so I think that we do all of them, but I think that whimsical and intellectual is ones that we do the most. I don't feel like we like playfully tease each other very often.
A little bit every now and then, but it's always like wrapped up with "you're the coolest," like "I love you so much" type thing. But yeah, I mean, it's more we love like wordplay, and every single day. I mean, during the work week when I walk in the door, at 5 o'clock, you and I are both bursting like, "Oh my god, I got to tell you what I found today! Like, I got to tell you what I saw."
Yeah. We're like, hey, let
Um,
me show you this thing that I made.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we were out the other day at our pool, and we met a new couple, and I said, "Oh, he and I need to go out on a man date. He's pretty cool." And you were like, "That's absolutely required or necessary." And I was like, "Oh my God, man date required. Yeah, that's hilarious." We do a lot of pun and play and fast back and forth, and it's such a big part of our relationship. And then so is, dressing up and going, to normal places with inappropriate costumes on and trying to shock people
Yeah.
because it's our inside joke, and I love that.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's so enjoyable for us because there's so much like sadness and stuff. And, having been in relationships where they weren't good. And, I said this the other day, it'd be so easy for us to be bitter about life. And
Mm.
we'd have every excuse to be bitter about life. And I think that it's nice that we both decided, like, this is not how we're going to do this. Because when I got out of my marriage, I was like, I don't want anything to be gray or black or normal colors anymore. Like, it feels weird when I put on a t-shirt and shorts to like clean the house or when I'm like going out and working out. Like, it's weird that it's not bright and sparkly. And I've gotten to this point where I'm like, this is just not, I'm sorry, this is not sparkly enough. And it wasn't always that way. Like, when I got divorced, I was like, everything that I want to buy will be pink. All of my appliances will be pink. My dishes will be pretty. Like, I'm not going to do things because it makes sense. And like when we buy a house, I want to paint the doors fun colors and make it to where it's like you walk in and you're like, wow. Because it was always like, how do you be practical? And I don't want to be practical anymore because YOLO, do it for the
Yes.
plot.
I mean, we do. We live this tiny little window, right? We might as well have as many crazy experiences as we can. A cool side effect of a lot of the playfulness that we have, and this isn't just in like wearing crazy clothes or dressing up like dinosaurs and going out in public, which all of which we do. Um, it's also just the banter, the playfulness, the tickling, the chasing after each other. That kind of stuff puts smiles on faces of people around us. I notice it all the time. When you and I are being cute with each other people take notice and they smile. And I think maybe that's part of this like loneliness epidemic that everybody's always afraid to put themselves out there. And if you just stop worrying about what everybody else thinks and do what feels fun and good, maybe that's a little infectious. Maybe that helps to spread, get rid of some of the loneliness.
Hold on. If you're single and thinking about dating again, can we not just see what happens this time? We made a free guide called the Second Chapter Reset. It's 10 questions to answer before you love again. Because clarity is attractive and repetition is exhausting. Download it at braveenoughforlove.com/reset. Do the 10, then go flirt responsibly. Okay, back to the chaos. Well, and I think that if we think about how kids make friends,
Yeah.
they normally make friends because they're playing with each other. Like my 8-year-old, I picked her up from the bus this week, and she comes up and she's like, I just made the best friend of my life. She's so nice. I like her so much. We made up a song about the boys because at this age, it's boys against girls all the time. And I want to give her our house number so that she can come over and we can play. And I was like, oh, what's her name? She's like, I don't remember.
Yeah.
But this is her
Doesn't matter. Best friend in the world. Yeah.
Best friend for life. No other things. The girl that lived not too far from us. My 11-year-old came home the first time that she met her and was like, she's my best friend. I love her so much. Thanks for making me do the play. And I was like, what's her name? She's like, I don't know. I'll ask her tomorrow.
Right.
I'm like, how is this your best friend and you don't know what their name is?
Important details, unimportant details.
Yeah, but it's the connection of like, we played together, we had fun. And I think that that's why it's so easy for us to make friends. Because, I put into our community, Facebook, a very thoughtful, multiple paragraph. This is who I am. These are the kinds of people that I want to hang out with. Do you want to be friends?
Yeah.
And I still will get people that didn't respond that will be, oh my God, that was you. So
they were afraid to reach back out.
They were. But it's funny because it like opens the conversation because somebody was brave enough to be like, hey, will you play with me? And I think that's all it takes in reality, but everybody's so afraid to be the first person to say, hey, will you play with me? And what does that look like? And what is it? We all feel like we need to be this proper, put together.
Why?
Because we're adults, I guess. I haven't quite figured it out because, like, I see somebody and it was very natural for me when we were at the pool the other day and we met the couple that we ran into at the pool. And my kid was playing with her kid. And a lot of times people don't interact, but they were playing and going around and picking up the stuff, like talking to her and like passing as I'm picking up the stuff for us to go was very natural for me. And so I think it's just taking a chance and knowing that people are going to say no. Like when I was downtown with several friends slash businessy people because I was the Nashvilleian who was like, let's go to Broadway. And I was like, okay, if we must. And so we're going to all these places and we're at a club, we're dancing, stuff like that. The guys at this point were like super drunk and I'm like babysitting. And really good looking guy. We started a conversation up. We're like chatting. He tells me that he just sold his house and he's like really excited about it. And I was like, oh yeah. And we get to the point where it's like he's about to leave. We're doing our own thing too. And I was like, oh, can we exchange numbers? I'd love to grab coffee sometime. And he's like, no.
I still don't understand that.
And I was like, excuse me? No? Like, why sit here and have this whole conversation with me and then say no? So it's going to happen. Like, it's not something to be afraid of. It's more of like taking this chance. Like, I have a friend who I knew in college who was on the other podcast that I run, Full Strength Leader. And she was talking about how she's spending the whole year just seeing how many times people can tell her no.
That's awesome.
And I mean, this chick, man, she's the one who was on Jeopardy.
Yeah.
And she's doing all this cool stuff and she's on all these news sources. And if you Google her name, she just like comes up this whole first page. Did she win Jeopardy? No, but she got to go do something that was really cool that gets her in front of people. And it's been on her bucket list. And I'm just sitting here going like, okay, how can I be more like that? And how can I see how many people will tell me no? Because eventually you're going to get a yes. And sometimes that yes is like very unexpected where you're like, oh, cool. But if I expect no and then I get a yes, it's way more exciting.
Yeah, for sure. This is one of those things. You and I talk so much about the loneliness epidemic, right? And I think that a lot of it is practice. I think starting with COVID, we stopped practicing, and then we just picked up with everything's on the internet. But being silly and playing in public and playing in our personal lives is something we practice, right? I chased you around yesterday trying to tickle you, like just because why not? It was fun. It was funny. Um, we need to practice these skills in order to keep them sharp. And if playfulness is such an important part of happy, successful relationships, why are we not practicing it the same way that we practice politeness, holding doors, understanding, talking even when it's hard, right?
Well, I
This should
think
be
that those
part of the
all fall into
practice.
the same category, though, too. Because how many people don't hold the door open anymore?
A lot.
How many people don't say anything when you walk by? Like, I, if I get in somebody's way or I feel like I stepped in front of them and I didn't mean to, I will always say I'm sorry.
Me too.
It is like, I can't help myself. Even if they step in my way and it was their fucking fault, I'll still say I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah.
trying to stop doing that one. But it's one of those things of like, it's just so innately ingrained.
Replace it with another word like bazinga, just
I don't know. WTF sounds like a mushroom.
WTF, perfect.
Do you watch where you're going?
Yeah, right.
Um, but I'm always like that way. And so I notice it when I go places that have lots of people. And I think that it's such an interesting thing. The thing that I wanted to mention here is the playfulness predicts satisfaction, but all the kinds of playfulness that we talked about don't come across equally. So, out of the four facets, predominantly other directed and intellectual playfulness were associated with high relationship satisfaction. And partners of people high in lighthearted playfulness reported greater mistrust towards their partner. So, we have to be careful of which play we're doing. And I think this goes back to that original story that I told about slamming the door in the car
Mhm.
of like treating life like a game can be fun, but it has to be done within the right places. And I think that it's so easy to decide, like, I've had friendships like this where you're like having, especially serious conversations. You're trying to figure something out, you're trying to talk about something serious, and they can't deal with the pressure of the seriousness. And so they go straight into being ridiculous instead. And you're like, that's not where we need to be. And I think it's also knowing when to be playful and when not to be playful. And kids do this so seamlessly.
Yeah.
And I think as adults, we just go straight from we're we're big. We're not gonna we're too old for that.
Yeah, there's a razor thin line between. I see. I think the wording is interesting on this one because it's a German study, so there's probably some nuance here. But not treating the world as playful, treating the world as lighthearted is not necessarily a bad thing. There's a lot of things that we look at together and we go, "Oh my God, that's crazy! I can't believe that's happening." People are silly, right? Like, and we joke about it. But I think where that relationship discomfort comes in is when I do it to you. When you say, I feel I have something I'm worried about, something feels heavy, let me talk to you, and then I end up, pretending I'm R2D2. That would not come off well. That would not feel like I'm caring and being kind to you. So I think it's really interesting that playfulness can be harmful, like teasing, or playfulness can be fulfilling, like intellectual play, or you're running around being silly or laughing just to laugh, right? We laugh all the time. We tell stupid jokes and puns. It's like 1,000 a day. That makes us feel good and feel happy. Um, I think these are all things that we should be practicing. I think we look at everything else. Right now you have people are, I'm taking this supplement because it helps with my muscle build. Taking this, people are looking at scientific research and adapting their lives around it because we have access to it, but not in the case of these types of
Because it's
things.
uncomfortable. It's not in a pill, it's not prescriptive. And you have to step out of your comfort zone in order to do any of these things.
But it gets so easy once you do.
Oh, 100%. It's like anything. Like people who play, I watch people who play the guitar and I go, oh my God, look at how easy they make it look. And then I pick one up and I'm like, I feel like a moron trying to figure out how to hold it, where it goes, where my fingers are supposed to go.
That's next for us.
Yes. But it's like what I tell my oldest all the time because she doesn't like to try new things because, she feels stupid doing them. And I was like, nobody feels good the first time they do it. Nobody's good at it the first time. Nobody. Even the prodigies weren't great at it the first time they picked it up. They just picked it up faster than most of us do. And that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, there's a incredible story that you hear from almost all like expert level professional guitarists where they're like, yeah, I was an outsider as a kid. My guitar was my friend. Then I met other people who had instruments as friends and we became a band. But yeah, I mean, I think everything is practice, and especially in acting weird. Here's the homework assignment for today, folks. Go do something that makes you feel a little uncomfortable. You don't have to have blinky, high top, shiny, patent silver shoes like Kabrina and I do that, yes, we wear into inappropriate places. Or offensive sweaters. I recommend offensive sweaters, but go do something silly. Just go do something silly. Go play with somebody. And it can be as simple as like pick up a frisbee and go stand in a park and act like an idiot and run around like crazy. But it feels good. It's good
Yeah.
for your heart.
Well,
It's
and I
good for your
think
brain.
when it comes down to like simple things you can do today is when you go in and you get coffee. Hey, I really like that bracelet that you're wearing. Hey, I really like your shoes. Like, find something that you genuinely enjoy about somebody else and start a conversation. It might not go very far. They might be like, oh my God, thank you. Or they might go, oh my God, thank you so much. I got this from blah, blah, blah. And now you've got some information in order to keep the conversation going. And being able to, if you ask questions to anybody, this is such a good trick that I teach people is if you ask somebody a question, people love to talk about themselves.
Mm,
Love to talk about themselves. So give them the opportunity to talk about themselves. You don't even have to
sure.
say anything. Half the time I'm trying to just get a word in edgewise with people because I'm like, great, I know all about your life now.
Yep.
Thank you for that. But people love to say stuff. Like if you say, oh my God, I love that you're, we'll use a bracelet because most people at restaurants have
Flair.
uniforms on, is now I've something that's specifically them. Or, hey, I really like your nail color. I will at least get where they got their nails done, or that it's their favorite color, or that they got it because somebody will always tell me a story about why they picked the nail
Sure.
color that they had, or why they have that pair of shoes, or anything like that. So it's a great way to get people to start talking. Like I was at an event that you dropped me off at for a networking thing, and I always look for the people that are just sitting there not talking to anybody because they're the easiest to talk to because they feel awkward because everybody else is around them talking. So if I feel awkward not talking to somebody, they're already sitting there feeling awkward not talking to somebody. So easy in. They're not going to
Totally.
say no.
And they could be incredibly cool people.
Exactly.
You could make somebody's day. It
Exactly.
could be a new business.
Exactly. And so um I go up to this guy, we're just chatting, and he divulges that he really wants to go up to this group of girls that's over there and get to know them better. And he's like, but I'm just so nervous. I can't do that. And I was like, okay, we're just going to sit and look at them for a second. What's something that you enjoy about them? And he was like, oh yeah, I really like this girl's bag. It's really cool. And I was like, that's your in. Go tell her that you like her bag. And then just stand there. Like, it's that easy. And sometimes it's awkward, but it works.
Wing woman.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just going to go to a dating event so I can help random people.
Yeah. Oh, you look very sad and confused. Let me help you.
Oh my God, we could divide and conquer.
Everybody should go up to somebody today and say, are those new shoes, do they make you run fast? Become that person's friends for 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Compare how fast each of you can run.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun.
Yeah, and you never know how you're going to end up being really good friends with somebody. Like my friend who comes over all the time and we see him all the time. I met out dancing, and he was standing there waiting for somebody to come and talk to him, and we talked, and here we are.
But I mean, we've really put this into practice because I think we've been finding more people now on purpose. And a big part of it is just be open. Be open. Don't be afraid to talk. Don't be afraid to reach out. I think more people are lonelier and want connection than anyone realizes.
Yeah, and I think it's a lot of the people that we think have their shit together too.
Nobody has their shit together anymore.
No.
We're
But
kind of good, but
yeah, but I think it's always like the people that you think have it all. They've got the family, they've got all these things. But you asked me this of like, well, how many friends do you feel like you need? And, it's nice to have a couple people because I tell you everything. But it's nice to have that other person that you're like, oh my God, I need to tell you this thing that happened. Because especially like with good news, I always want to tell more than one person because you're excited about it. And like if you need ideas from people or you want different perspectives, it's nice to have friends that will be like, you're my very logical friend. And it's nice to also have those friends that are like, okay, where are we burying the body? So it's like you need the
we
crazy.
ride at dawn.
Yeah, you need the crazy ones and you need the ones that are like, they'll agree with you no matter what, but you know that that's not the right thing kind of stuff. Because sometimes you just need to blow off some steam and have those conversations with people.
Come on, get in the car. We're going to go buy the gasoline. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
All right. So, what do we leave everybody with? Go out and play a little more. Life is
Mhm.
stressful and hard. Humans are not supposed to be stuck in a box 5 days a week.
Mhm. So I think that the assignment is either go talk to somebody that you don't know in your everyday life, getting coffee, going to a restaurant. It can be quick, it can be easy, whatever you want. Or go get yourself something that is something that's a step outside, adjacent to your normal, what you'd wear.
Like a large purple top hat?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Something that's a little bit different than what you would normally do. Because I think that is where you start to go, okay, I'm just going to play with this. And just tell yourself, this is just an experiment. This is just for fun.
Everything's a muscle. Your brain is a muscle. Your ability to meet people is a muscle. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. Stop being lonely, people. Go meet folks.
Yeah. And if you have anything that you're like, hey, this is what's worked for me, or I was in this place and this is how I got out of it, or hey, I'm in this place right now. Is there any other suggestions that you have? Drop it into Spotify in our questions. We're happy to answer those on the
YouTube.
podcast. Yep, YouTube. And then if you're like, hey, we've got these questions, come find us on the gram or on Facebook and DM us. We're happy to have those conversations.
Oh my God, send us pictures, your silliest pictures of you dressed up inappropriately in public.
Oh
We
my
love
God,
that.
what should our hashtag be? Should it just be brave enough for love?
Brave enough to dress.
No, it's too.
Brave enough for love.
Yeah.
Hashtag brave enough for love.
Hashtag us and tag us and we'll share them.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see you
talk
next
soon.
week. That's a wrap on this episode of Brave Enough for Love. Follow the show wherever you listen so you don't miss what's coming next. If this episode made you laugh, think, or text your best friend immediately, go ahead and share it. Send it to someone who needs it. Drop your questions in the Spotify Q&A or find us on TikTok and Instagram. We're there and we're talking back. We'll be back soon with more love, more laughs, and probably more tea. Stay brave.